Hey people, how's it going? Welcome to another video. So, a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, I put out a poll on here and on Insta as well to ask, to say, I want to do a series where I talk about my favorite album from every year, all the way up from 1970 all the way through to 2019. And I asked you guys how you wanted it presented. I said, do I do each decade in one video, or do I do each year for one video? And most of you, more so on Insta than on YouTube, won't lie, but that's okay. Most of you said, oh, you definitely got to do one video a year. So I was like, fuck, that's like 50 videos, but it's 50 videos. So yeah, we're just going to get straight into it. Now, obviously, you can see straight away by the title that I've gone against what I just said. I've decided to combine the years 1970 and 1971 into one video. Now, the reason for that being they're from the same artist. Okay, so if you know me, you could probably figure out who they are. I will just give you a quick disclaimer, okay, as I will probably at the start of every video that I do for this series. I haven't listened to every album from 1970 or 1971. So please pop down below in the comments what your favorite albums of these 2 years are, whether it be metal related, whether it be jazz. I don't, let me know. Interesting. So I'm combining 1970 and 1971 because they're from the same band. And of course, another quick disclaimer as well, I don't listen to a lot of 70s music. So I did have to go on a bit of a hunt to find some albums for some years. And but we got there. So enough introing, let's just get straight into it. So obviously this one came as like no surprise. I didn't want to go into too much detail about what came into 1970 other than the fact that that was the year heavy metal was created. So it's no surprise that my favorite album from 1970 is the classic debut from heavy metal fathers, Black Sabbath. My favorite album from 1970 is easily Black Sabbath because one, I can't think of another album that surpasses such importance and just such a historic piece of music, to be honest, like in the heavy metal world anyway, This was released on February, in the UK, pretty sure, February 13, 1970. It was a Friday. Obviously, this one isn't from 1970. None of the albums I talk. Oh, there might be one when I talk about it, might be the OG. But yeah, honestly, this was released, took the world by storm, really. You could say, well, maybe not the world, but, definitely took England by storm. It's 7 songs. I won't lie. The last half of it, you could argue is questionable. But it's still a fantastic album. This is why I wanted to another reason why I wanted to combine them, because I don't actually need to talk about this album so much, but we're going to anyway. This album opens with the classic title track, Black Sabbath, from the album Black Sabbath by the band Black Sabbath. It starts with rain, it starts with thunder. Are there crows in it? I'm pretty sure there's crows in it as well. And church bells, gotta have those church bells. And then that G chord. Those trills still send chills up our spines every day. That song pretty much has every element of what makes a good heavy metal song. It has an atmospheric intro. It has a powerful, punchy riff. It has a breakdown section. It has, a build-up tension thing, and it's just amazing. It's a fantastic song, and we love it. But then other than the title track, Black Sabbath, we also have The Wizard, which is almost a country song when you first listen to it, but Ozzy does a fantastic job. Oh yeah, obviously we have Ozzy Osbourne, Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi, and Bill Ward, the Fab Four of heavy metal. Ozzy Osbourne was with Sabbath all the way up until Never Say Die. That was his final album with them, and then he went on to do solo stuff, which is fantastic. We'll get there. Tony Iommi today is still classified as the greatest, one of the greatest heavy metal guitar players of all time, and Geezer's bass is just a fantastic thing, and Bill Ward's drumming is so iconic. it really stands out. Do you know what I mean? I think it's very tom heavy, his drums. Do you know what I mean? There's just a certain style that Billboard has that a lot of others really didn't. So that definitely stood them out from everybody else in that regard. But yes, as I was saying, so the Wizard is this cool little repetitive little harmonica figure that Ozzy plays. It's a fun song, it's a catchy song, and it's doing its part. Behind the Wall of Sleep is glorious. I think it's amazing. I love the vocal melody in Behind the Wall of Sleep. I think it's so fun and it's so catchy. It's really, really cool. And then you get NIB, which is just this bass pounding intro, which when I first heard it was just baffling. I was like, what's the need for this? And then Tony Iommi's riff just comes out of nowhere, and then Ozzy's vocals just accompany it, and it's just an onslaught of metal. It's so fun, and it references Lucifer. It's great. Who doesn't love that? And then you get side 2, Evil Woman. Don't you play your games with me? That's a great song. It's a cover, eh? Yeah. And then this is where like the jam session section kind of kicks in. So it kind of just all sort of blends together. There's, guitar riffs that go on forever. There's drum solos in it. It's just, by the time, it's like an 11-minute jam session, I think. But it's still, I think that's Warning, but it's still very, very cool. It's very iconic. And did I already mention? I ranked all of Sabbath's albums not too long ago, a year ago. And I put this at number 3. It needs to go high. I love debuts. Debuts are so important. I often give them way too much respect for some people, but honestly, this one is just easily my favorite album from 1970. So yeah, and now we tackle 1971, and as I said, it's from the same artist. That's why it's in this video. So we're talking about Master of Reality now. When I ranked Sabbath, I didn't put this one at the highest, but again, I don't listen to a lot of 70s music, so this one, it still stands out as a standalone album for 1971, in my opinion. I nearly went with David Bowie's Hunky Dory, but that was purposely to not have 2 of the same artist. I tried to get one at least set in separate, like at least keep them far apart if I'm going to repeat them, but this was back to back. So yeah, that's why I keep saying it, but that's why we've got them in one video. This album opens with Sweet Leaf, and it starts off with a real ear-piercing cough intro. I'm not a fan of it, eh? But then once that's over, the song kicks in, and it's really fun. I love the riffing in it. The lyrics are great. The lyrics are on the back of this album, so there's no lyric sheet or anything like that. But yeah, the lyrics come on the back. It's really interesting. But yeah, After Forever is a great riff. I love After Forever. I think it's so fun. It's got to be written in the most majorest of major keys, that song. It's such a happy sounding song. It's virtually a Christian song. Have you ever thought about your soul? Can it be saved? Or perhaps you think when you're dead, you just stay in your grave. Deep lyrics, man. Good stuff. Embryo, little instrumental. Children of the Grave. Heavy stuff. This album sort of introduces us to doom metal. It's a lot heavier. Tony Iommi has tuned down for this album because of his fingers, obviously. So when you get songs like Children of the Grave, where it's just real, it's just awesome. Revolution in Their Minds, the children start to march. It's a great song. And then you flip the side over, you get Orchard, real cool. Lord of This World is fun, and Solitude's great as well. Interesting song, Solitude. But then you get Into the Void. The heaviest Sabbath song at the time. Really cool stuff. It's just a heavy AF song. It's a great way to close Master of Reality as well. A lot of people rank this as like the deeming Sabbath album. I don't, but it's still very iconic. And if you've only listened to the likes of Black Sabbath and Paranoid, which came out in the same year as Sabbath, 1970, I highly recommend you keep going and listen to Master of Reality and Volume 4 and Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, even though I'm not a fan of Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, but then definitely just listen to the Aussie stuff of Sabbath. It's worth it. It's definitely great to listen to, honestly. Don't be like me and just stop at Paranoid. Force yourself to get into these albums if you have to. They are so good. But yeah, that's my picks for 1970 and 1971, both Black Sabbath albums. So yeah. Awesome, team. Thanks for hanging out with me while we just sit here and have a little 5-minute discussion of my two favorite albums from 1970 and 1971. So, like I say, I've got 50 of these now to do because obviously 70 to 2020 is 50 years. So I'm thinking should I do them in order, or should I like just randomly come out with 1982 next time, and then 1994, and then go back to 1977, or do I keep it traditional so you can expect what's coming next? Let me know which one you'd prefer. But yeah, let me know down below your favorite albums from 1970 and 1971. Doesn't have to be metal, can be anything. I'm interested to see what people enjoyed listening to. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. Keep an eye out for the next year. It might be 72, it might be 2002. Who knows? But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go make another video now. But yeah, keep an eye out for whatever comes next. But until that happens, team, stay inside, stay safe, listen to heavy metal, and I will see you all in the next video. See you later.